Hey there, podcast lovers. Looking for a fresh take on the world? Tune into Nikki's World, where we dive into everything hitting the headlines and chat about just what's on our minds. No filters, just real talk. Whether you're sipping your morning coffee or unwinding after a long day, Nikki's World is your go-to for genuine commentary on the real world. Subscribe now if you want to hear the real deal on what's going on. Join the conversation on Nikki's World, where every episode feels like catching up with an old friend. Don't miss out.
What's up, y'all? Let's do this.
Oh, hi guys, welcome to Nikki's World. I'm Nikki, your host, and today, guys, we gotta talk about why the legacy media is having a temper tantrum over why they can't leak secrets from the Pentagon anymore. But we're gonna talk about that and so much more. But before we go any further, guys, if you guys love Nikki's World so much, seriously, y'all, can y'all please consider donating a cup of coffee for me? Because for a price of a cup of coffee at Starbucks, Dunkin' Donuts, and Cumberland Farms, guys, you guys help keep this podcast show alive. You guys help me curate more stories, more topics like this to talk about. I do accept Bitcoin donations. I am on Ko-fi, guys. If you guys want to support, sponsor, donate, and tip to Nikki's World. If you guys love Nikki's World so much, seriously, y'all, please hit that like, subscribe, please give me a review, good, bad, and the ugly. Also, guys, I do have a bunch of affiliate links. First off is Minds.com. Minds.com is a Connecticut based social media platform. They are an awesome alternative to Facebook. So, if you guys value your right to freedom of speech like I do, and you guys want to be able to say stuff without fear of being blocked, suspended, or deplatformed, well, then, head on over to my friends at Minds.com. Also, guys, I do have the most awesome, and I mean the most awesome affiliate link with Byrna. Byrna is the less lethal self defense company, guys. They make their top of the line Byrna SD, Byrna LE, TCR, Mission 4, and their newest, guys, their compact launcher. So if you guys value your right to self defense, your right to the Second Amendment, but you guys want to do it in a less lethal manner, well then, ladies and gentlemen, head on over to my friends at Byrna.com. Also, guys, I do have the most awesome, and I mean the most awesome affiliate link with North Shore Medical Supply. North Shore Medical Supply makes their top of the line Megamax diapers, their North Shore Supreme pull ups, and their Eterna boosters, guys. So if you know somebody out there who needs to wear adult diapers and who needs to be put in adult diapers like I do, guys, well then, send them on over to my friends at North Shore Medical Supply, and they will make sure that they are diapered up as always. And before we get the show on the road, literally, guys, if you guys love this episode and any of my other episodes on Nikki's World, seriously, y'all, can y'all please consider sharing this across all the social media platforms that are out there today? Woo-wee, wow. That was a mouthful. That was a mouthful. And yes, guys, I am diapered up as always. I'm in my North Shore Megamax diapers with my Eternal boosters, and I'm in my onesies from Little Comfort. So I'm diapered up and all and padded up as always. So let's get on with the show, shall we? And before we really do get on with the show, I just want to say quick bit, a couple minutes, man. I know last week I hadn't podcasted as much, and I've been a little down and out because I've been dealing with a stomach bug. So it's been a little like icky and all that. So I've been dealing with that, so I'm hoping that I'm through this week and I can get back to normal. But anyway, let's get on with the show, shall we? So, anyway, I want to talk about this article from Breitbart. Pentagon access is a privilege, not a right. Hegseth draws the line as media refuses to sign. Okay, here's the article. Here's the headline for me. Journalists from across the political spectrum face a 5 p.m. deadline on Tuesday, which was yesterday, to sign a Department of War's new Pentagon access agreement or surrender their credentials, and the major outlets, including the failing New York Times, the Washington Compost, the 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 Communist News Network, aka CNN, the Atlantic, Reuters, and this Rhino news agency, Newsmax, announced they would not comply with the new rules. Well, here's the funny thing in here, guys. The media doesn't have a right to walk around the halls of the Pentagon. What do they think they are? Some oligarch? Here's the thing. Access to the Pentagon is a privilege, not a right. You're there as a guest. The Pentagon is a military base. Okay? What do they think they are? Do they think they have a right to just roam the halls free, willing, and kneeling? No. Hegseth is basically bringing back the Pentagon to what it should be, where that the only way the media can have access to like the entire Pentagon is if they go escorted by an MP, or they wear they wear a badge. It's that simple. But the legacy media wants to have a temper tantrum in their diapers, saying that Hegseth is restricting our access. Hegseth is being mean and a bully. Here's the thing, ladies and gentlemen. Access onto any military base is so severely restricted that the media is not allowed in there unless they're escorted, unless they have proper ID or they have a military or government ID. It's that simple. I'll give you an example, guys. I'm a member of the United States Coast Guard Auxiliary, okay? I'm an auxiliarist, all right? I have access onto the military base, but there are certain areas on base I don't have privilege to go into. Okay? Certain places, like, say, a command center, they would have to scrub that place clean before I'm allowed to go in. And any sensitive stuff has to be taken off the desk, locked in the desk, or locked in the cabinet, or locked in the closet. Yeah, but the legacy media all whine and complain about the fact that they're violating my First Amendment. They're violating this. They're violating that. They're violating and everything. It's really like like these people. whine about not being able to have access to a lot of places. They whine, complain, hoot, and holler about not being able to have access to the Pentagon. The White House press corps is the same thing, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, the White House press corps. You can't even walk around the White House grounds without being escorted by the Secret Service agent. Okay, because there are certain areas of the White House that are off limits, that are only for the president or their staff. It's pretty much that simple. It's pretty much self-explanatory. But the problem here is, ladies and gentlemen, and the problem I see here is that you have the legacy media having a whiny temper tantrum over not being able to leak like Pentagon secrets. They're having a temper tantrum of not like being able to leak like sources from the Pentagon. Hagseth is doing the right thing here. The Secretary of War is doing what is right. He's telling the media, if you want access to the Pentagon, if you want to be able to cover the Pentagon, you have to follow these rules. And these rules are meant to protect national security secrets and military operations that are considered national security secrets. It's pretty much that simple. It is. But the liberal, the legacy media, they're all going to have a hissy fit, a whiny temper tantrum, saying that, oh, I won't be able to tell the world about what you're doing. Oh, they're blocking me from this. Well, here's the thing, guys. Here's the thing. The Pentagon is the most secure location in the world. Okay? Almost everything that they do is considered a national security secret. To get in there, you have to have access. You have to have privilege. You have to have a business to be there. Okay? You literally do. But the liberal media and the legacy media that refuse to sign onto the rules that Pete Hegseth has put forth, I say to them, screw them. Like, fuck with them. Let them get their like their news from the Pentagon through the public affairs office. Let them get their news or their briefings from the public affairs office. That's it. Let them. That's what the public affairs office is there for. If they want to have a press briefing, then they can have it in an off location where the press can go there, but they're not allowed access into the Pentagon itself. It's that simple. It is. But to me, the legacy media cries about, oh, First Amendment, First Amendment, First Amendment, my fucking ass. They cry about it because now the tables have been turned on them. But when conservatives were crying about their First Amendment rights being violated and all that, the legacy media was like putting their head up their ass and going, what are you crying about? But now, when the fucking tables have turned, they're crying about it, and people on the right are saying, you get what you deserve. You get what you deserve. You get what's fucking handed to you. You really do. You really do. But I do like this article from the Daily Mail in the UK. Paranoid Pete Hegseth to strip media outlets of Pentagon press passes unless they agree to Orwellian policy. This coming from the UK fucking Daily Mail, the shitty of a news organization in the UK, thinking that it's Orwellian. I I know we don't post stuff from liberal rags, but this one I do because I wanted to shit on this because how 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 dare do they think it's Orwellian just because they don't want the media to know sensitive military operations that can endanger service personnel. The legacy media thinks, oh, it's okay to endanger service personnel. This is why I often say like this. Back in World War II, they used to have this thing called loose lip sync ships. People were taught back then you never tell anyone about where your service member is going. You never tell. Every operation, every deployment was kept a secret. Even back then, when you had to write letters home, the military scrubbed anything that talked about, oh, like this person died in this place or this person died in this place. They was heavily censored because you know why? They wanted to make sure, ladies and gentlemen, that no military or government secrets were leaked. Even if they were showing new equipment, like say new planes, new ships, new submarines, new bombers, and all that back in World War II, they gave you what was approved to put in the paper. They gave you like an approved press release or an approved photo release. That was it. That was it. But then after that, the media started like roaming the damn halls, getting answers from some unknown colonel, general, or admiral like that. But now, since Pete Hegseth is now the Secretary of War, he's clamping that down. He's clamping that down because he doesn't want military secrets, military operations being leaked to enemies that can listen on social media. Okay? There are stuff that the military does on social media, but it's so heavily scrutinized by the public affairs officers and security officers just to make sure that nothing sensitive is being put out. That if it's put out, it has to be approved by a colonel and above. Yeah, it has to. But the legacy media, according to the Daily Mail, thinks Pete Hegseth is paranoid and he's in that they think that he's instituting Orwellian policies. No, he's doing it to protect national security secrets. He's doing it to make sure that the media does not know what is going on and he is protecting the nation. Okay? Because you got to understand, media today is 24/7, 365 days a year. It means anybody and anyone around the globe can find out what's going on, like with Russia, with US or China, okay? They really can't. But the sad thing is, guys, and the sad thing here is that the legacy media think that it's their right to roam the halls of the Pentagon to get news stories. No, it's not your right. If you're there for an interview with a colonel or a general of a service or a captain of a service, then you have to be escorted into the building. It's like any secure building in the country, okay? It's like any secure building that says, oh, you have to have access to go to this place or this place or this place. That you have to have access to this, and this. I'm telling you, ladies and gentlemen, I'm telling you right now, the media does not have access to it. The media doesn't. If the media wanted to know what was going on with the Pentagon or the military, they would go to the public affairs officer and get a press release from them. It's that simple. But if they had a press briefing, then they would follow the same rules that the White House press office has. And I think Pete Hegseth should have those same rules as the White House press office. I think they should. They should mirror each other. So if the White House press office has those rules, he should copy their rules and bring it to the Pentagon as well. He should. But you know what's also good? That the legacy media and the Rhino media won't sign. Why they won't sign it? It's good because you know why? It gives independent journalists like the ability to basically go to press briefings. It gives independent journalists, you know what I mean, like front row seat at the press briefings. Okay, because you gotta understand, independent journalists are willing to sign any like document saying, yeah, I will abide by these rules when I come to the press briefings. Yeah, but like legacy media and Rhino medias like Newsmax, Associated Press, and the failing New York Times, they don't want to sign on to it because they don't want they're losing their access to being able to leak government secrets or leak sources about Pentagon operations. I go like this: Secretary of War, bravo, bravo, because I'm telling you this right now. If the media wanted information about what's going on, go to the public affairs office. That's it. Public affairs office could what? Write up a press release. Here you go. Report based on the press release. Or if it's a briefing, the public affairs officers can do it for them. It's that simple. It really is. But why is the legacy media and the Rhino media making it so hard on themselves? Why? Imagine if this was Brandon. Oh, they would be like, oh, glee all over it. They would. But it's Trump and his administration. They're making it hard on themselves. They really are. They're making it so hard, so difficult that it ain't even fucking fun. They really are, guys. They really are. Yeah, they really are. But I will tell you this. I will tell you this, guys. If if the media ever wanted to know what was going on in the Pentagon, they could all they had to do was sign that paper saying that yes, I will abide by the rules. I will wear I will wear a badge when walking around the halls of the Pentagon. I will be escorted by either the Pentagon police or the military police. Okay, and they will not be allowed to disclose anything without the public affairs office approval. It's that simple. But you know what? The legacy media wants to take pot shots at Trump. They want to literally like make it like Trump is doing this. You know? This is why I don't listen to the legacy media anymore. This is why I don't listen to legacy news outlets because legacy news outlets are full of shit. They're full of crap, and these are the people who like run and run and scream with their head cut off. They really do. They really do. This has become nothing more than a nothing burger issue, in my opinion, guys. This is nothing more than a nothing burger. But the legacy media has to make it all about them. Has to make it all about them. They all have to gin it up. Okay. As someone who's a Coast Guard auxiliarist, I know that if you wanted to get stuff or you wanted to know what was going on, the first person you call is the PAO, the public affairs officer. They're the first to tell you what's going on. They're the first to tell you like what military operations is going on. They're the first ones. They really are. But you know, the legacy media, they want to be so up close and personal, you know? And I'm like, dude, it's like, dude, really? Really? I say like this. If we had to, I say Pete Hegseth should go back to the World War II rules of the press during the war, where anything that they say to the media has to be filtered, has to be checked, has to be made sure that no national security secrets is let out unless it was prior approved by the Secretary of War or Congress. Because either way, then people can be held accountable. Yeah. But you know what? You know what? I'm just going to say like this. I'm just going to say like this. If the press won't follow those rules, then go fuck themselves. Okay? Then go like this. Screw you, fuck yourself, have a nice day. Yeah. And I know the only news network that is signing on to it is like One America News, and bravo for One America News. Bravo. Bravo. And and I think like this. Independent media will probably sign on to it as well. They probably will. But to me, I just go like this. This is a nothing burger issue. This is a nothing burger. This really isn't, man. This really isn't. But I just want to say like this. To me, as someone who's a Coast Guard auxiliarist, I know there are reasons why the Pentagon is doing this. I know the reasons why Hegseth is doing this. It's because he doesn't want the media leaking what's going on in the Pentagon, their operations, and basically their national security secrets. He doesn't want the media leaking it, and leaks have basically destroyed the Pentagon, have destroyed like sensitive military operations. And I agree with the Secretary of War. His policies, yeah, I agree that he is tightening the rules on what the media is allowed to do in the Pentagon. And if the media doesn't like it, they can go fucking pound sand for all I care for. They can really do. Yeah. To me, they can go fucking pound sand for all I care. Because I'm going to tell you this, ladies and gentlemen, I don't give two shits. Okay? I don't give two shits about what legacy media or what rhino media complains about, oh, the rules being so Orwellian, oh, the rules being so this and this and this. I don't give a shit. I don't give a flying fuck. Okay? I don't. I don't. I really don't, guys. Yeah, I really. But to me, to anyone that has served in the military, it's a no brainer issue. But to the legacy media and the rhino media, they're having their hissy fit and temper tantrum. They're basically whining and crying like a toddler because they can't get access to the military. They can't get access to generals and colonels. They can't leak what is going on in the military. They can't. So they whine, they howl, they hiss, they complain they have a temper tantrum, they have a hissy fit. Yeah, they really do. And they often go like this. Oh, I can't be able to leak this anymore. Wah wah wah. Well, too fucking bad, guys. Too fucking bad. Yeah. If you don't like those rules, too bad. Too bad. You'll have to now go to the public affairs office and then get a press release from them. That's it. You don't like it? Tough shit. Yeah, tough shit. But that's my opinion on this, and that's my stance on this. That really is. Yeah. But anyway, I want to talk about the story that came out of like it came out like a couple of days ago, but you know my rule. I always give 48 to 72 hours to let the stories stew before I even talk about it. But what happened was like this. Like a couple of days ago, okay, they found like what was a container with a body, like a body inside. Turned out to be a a kid that was missing, that was like missing from school, missing from the family, and upon the investigation, turned out the mother, the aunt, and the boyfriend murdered this kid. Okay, and the mother took the kid out with the excuse of, "Oh, we're gonna homeschool this kid." Yeah, the kid wasn't homeschooled. The kid was murdered. The body was only discovered a year, like this year. Yeah, yeah. And then I'll read you this headline, okay? I'll read you this headline from the Hartford Courant. Emotions high as aunt, mother, and boyfriend face judge in death of a girl found in a bin outside a Connecticut home. Read you the first paragraph. The mother, her boyfriend, her aunt of a 12-year-old girl whose remains were found outside an abandoned home in New Britain were arraigned Tuesday during a tense hearing where multiple family members, supporters of the young girl, were ejected for outbursts. Well, the story goes like this. The mother and the aunt and the boyfriend pulled this girl out of school about a year ago, okay? They said to the school that they were going to homeschool her, all right? Unknowingly, they murdered her. They starved her, murdered her, all right? And then kept the body, but kept the body like around and moved from Farmington to New Britain. And then a couple days later, a couple people were roaming around an abandoned building, found a box with a body inside. Cops showed up. Yeah, now it's a murder investigation. This comes on the heels, ladies and gentlemen, of that story from Waterbury, Connecticut, where that stepmom who kept the 32-year-old son locked up in the room for 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 decades, all under the heels of, oh, we're gonna homeschool the kid. Here's the problem I see with this idea of homeschooling, and a lot of the people on the right who are arguing with me over this, saying that, oh, we shouldn't homeschool the kids. We should homeschool the kids because we don't trust the government or the public schools. But what's to say we can't trust you homeschooling the kids when you got some scrupulous parents who are going to use homeschooling as an excuse to harm or even murder their own kid? I've said this many times here, and I've said this on social media. Yes, I am all for homeschooling when it is appropriate, okay? But when you got scrupulous parents, parents that are so questionable that law enforcement needs to intervene, that, yeah, the kids should not be homeschooled. Pretty much. But you got homeschool advocates who are basically coming at me with pitchforks and knives saying, "Oh, we don't trust the government. We want to homeschool our kid." Okay, fine. I'm all for you doing that. But as as a taxpayer, as a citizen of this state, I am all for it. But we need to set some ground rules, some regulations that make sure that none of this ever happens. The problem here is, guys, a lot of these homeschool advocates think that, oh yeah, we know how to school our kids better than public school and all that. But then the problem is, some of these parents are scrupulous. Some of these parents have like ill intentions. They use homeschooling as a fucking excuse to lock up their kid in their room for 32 years or murdered their kid like the one in New Britain. Here's my thing on this. Here's my stance on this, okay? I am all for homeschooling in this country. I am all for affirming the right of parents to homeschool their kids, but there needs to be a set of ground rules and regulations to go about that. There are states like Pennsylvania and New York that regulate homeschooling. Okay, I would take the approach of between Pennsylvania and New York, where, for example, a parent has to sign by law a paper to DCF and the school board in town, saying that they will homeschool their kid. Okay, they have to sign that paper. On top of that, they have to submit a curriculum that has to be approved by DCF, by the State Board of Education. Okay? Now there are homeschools that are all online, and they're probably pre-approved already. Okay? But if parents are gonna do it, they have to be approved by DCF and by the state school board. Now, one thing that I know a lot of homeschool advocates will come at me with pitchforks and knives over is inspections and audits. Okay? Here's my thing. We do inspections and audits on everything all the time. OSHA does that. The Labor Department does that. It's no different than inspecting schools, inspecting group homes, or inspecting special ed schools or psychiatric facilities. It's no different. But these pro homeschooling parents think that, oh, it's government intrusion. No, it's not. It is preventing what happened in New Britain and Waterbury from reoccurring ever again. Inspections would mean a police officer or a social worker, okay, would come into the home, would do an unannounced random inspection to make sure the kids are learning, the place is safe, the place is clean, okay, that they are up to standard, all right, and they would be audited, which means their curriculum would be audited to make sure that they are learning at grade level and age level. And then at the same time, I would go with what Iowa does, where Iowa mandates that homeschool students have to have a yearly testing. That means once a year they have to be tested to continue homeschooling. I would do that. But then you got a lot of these pro homeschool mobs who think that, oh, government doesn't know how to take care of kids. We know how to take care of kids. But then the problem is, what do you do about the parents who murdered a kid in New Britain and who the one that locked up the kid in Waterbury? What do you do about that? Explain that to me, ladies and gentlemen. Explain that to me. Okay? Explain, how do you deal with New Britain and Waterbury from ever repeating again. I want the homeschool. I want the homeschool cult crowd to answer this for me. How do you prevent Waterbury and New Britain from ever happening again? How do you prevent that? How do you? Tell me that. Tell me that, and I'll agree to that. How do you prevent uh, what happened in Waterbury, what happened in New Britain from ever happening again? Tell me, because I'm telling you right now, all they're giving me is right wing gobbledygook garbage shit, and not giving me a solution. They're not. All they're saying is, oh, government can't take care of the kids. DCF peddles this and this and this gobbledygook bullshit. Hmm. They really do. But the problem is, ladies and gentlemen, they can't justify it. They can't. To me, my solution is simple. We allow homeschooling, but we regulate it, we audit it, we inspect it, and we test it. Four things. But as long as the parents can meet those four criteria, we let them homeschool. We let them do. Yeah. But these homeschool cult crowd members thinking that, oh, we can homeschool our kids better than the government, but then can't explain why Waterbury and New Britain keeps popping up. Why you got that stepmom in Waterbury who's going to be facing like what, 20 years in prison? And then the one in New Britain who's probably going to be facing what, life without parole? Can't justify it. They can't excuse it. They can't come up with a legitimate excuse to justify homeschooling. All they want to do is just give the right wing bullshit to me. That's what's really going on. All they want to do is give the right wing bullshit and not come up with a solution to prevent New Britain and Waterbury from repeating again. They don't. They don't. Because they think it's like, oh, parents' rights, parents' rights. But when parents' rights murder their own kid, that doesn't become a parent's rights. That becomes a state rights issue. That becomes a state issue. That becomes the people's issue. That really does. Yeah. To me, I'm just gonna say like this. Any homeschool cult crowd who thinks that like they can homeschool their kid, but then not prevent what happened in New Britain and Waterbury from repeating itself, is fucking delusional. It's fucking roped up out of their ass. And I'm gonna just say like this: their fucking kids need to be put in either public school or charter school or boarding school. Take your damn fucking pick. Take your damn pick. Yeah, take your damn pick. But I'm gonna just say like this, guys. I'm just gonna say like this. If they can come up with a solution to prevent what happened in Waterbury and prevent what happened in New Britain from ever repeating again, I am all for hearing it. But right now, all you're giving me is like far right radical bullshit that doesn't protect the kid, that doesn't ensure that the kid's being educated. Okay? That doesn't like say, hey, the kid's going to be educated. We're going to make sure the kid's educated. We're going to audit the homeschools, making sure the school is up to code, up to standard, you know? Here's the funny thing about that. When when you have building codes right here, you don't see anyone else having a hissy fit. You don't. You don't. But you see everyone else do. Yeah. You see everyone else. But to me, ladies and gentlemen, I'm just going to say like this. I'm just going to say like this. If the homeschool crowd has a problem, they need to solve it. Okay? They need to solve it. Come up with a solution. Don't tell me that, oh, you don't know about homeschool. Educate yourself. Let me tell you something. I see the homeschools. Okay? Some of it good, some of it that the parents should not be allowed. It's that simple. It really is. It really is that simple. It really is. But the fact of the matter is, guys, and I'm going to say this, homeschooling in the state of Connecticut should be regulated. It should be regulated, inspected, audited, and the kid should be tested. Okay? That means if the kid is not being homeschooled or the parents are pulling the kid out for nefarious reasons, then the state should intervene immediately. The state should. It's pretty much that simple. The state should intervene. Yeah, they really should. They really should. But, you know, the way I look at it like this, we're going to see more cases like this. We're going to see more and more of this before we come to our senses and say enough is enough. Okay? We literally are. We literally are. We literally are. Wow, that was a good long show for you guys. That was a good long show for you guys today. Wow. I can't believe it, man. Damn. Damn. Wow. Anyway, guys, I thank you guys for listening to Nikki's World. I'm Nikki, your host. I will see y'all soon. Bye for now. You just listened to an episode of Nikki's World. Thanks for listening. We'll see y'all soon. Bye for now.